My name's Greg Knapp. This is the Greg Knapp Experience, a special edition 20-minute thrill ride for your commute or your workout. I'm bringing in my buddy, Rob Borowski, and he's got a podcast called TV's Rob is Unwoke. We got a lot of stuff to go over today. How about suing gangs in a civil court? Yep. The women's soccer team upset that they're going to get equal pay. What? A woman decides to marry herself. It's all about self-love. Self-love? No, get your mind out of the gutter, not that one. And AOC still in trouble for the Met Gala. And Norm Macdonald has passed. All that coming up on this special edition of the Greg Knapp Experience. Let's go. All right, so let's start, Rob, with what's going on in Chicago. Mayor Lori Lightfoot, she has a plan, because Chicago, I don't know if you noticed, Rob, has a little trouble with gang violence. A few people killed.
No.
So
never.
what she says is,
what are you talking about?
Go.
That is
say again?
Heaven.
Yeah. Oh,
it's
that's
heaven.
true. I mean, it's probably just, horribly wrong of me to even mention the fact that people are getting killed there every day.
Yeah, it's paradise.
So she wants to sue them in civil court. What do you think?
Oh, come on. This is the most genius move ever by a mayor who only wants to take questions from black
that was
and
only for
brown
one day.
reporters.
That was only for one day. And she'd do it again, but it was only for one day.
But then also defying lockdowns to get her hair done. I mean, this is just the latest in
Rob, she has to go on TV every day. She needs her hair done.
Oh, that's true. And she cares about her hygiene as if the rest of us don't.
I cut my own hair.
Which, well, it shows.
I thank you.
But I'm thinking, how would you go about suing gangs and seizing assets from gangs? Because last I checked, I don't think gangs really use
most
banks.
of them don't have like a portfolio that you can go in and garnish their wages and do all these other kind of things. The only time you can really get stuff from the gang members is when you get it when you arrest them, right? I mean, that's what we do at the federal level. You arrest the gang leader in his Maserati, and you can seize the Maserati, right?
Yeah, or you could bust people, white collar crimes, with the stock insider trading and things like that. You can catch those gang members, with these guys. And you could bust congressmen the same way.
Yeah, in fact,
come on.
When you read through this, Rob, they've done this in some of the suburbs around Cook County, and they've had some difficulty collecting the assets. So even when they win, it's like you said, how do you find it? How do you track it down? How do you get it?
Exactly.
You know what? This is very similar to what's happening in Texas that the left hates, where they're saying you could sue someone who aids and abets an abortion of a baby with a heartbeat. You can't go around that in criminal law. Isn't that what they're doing here?
Yeah. That's what they're trying to do, yeah. Well, that's what Lori Lightfoot wants to do, but hopefully there's somebody in the Chicago area that says, Mayor, that's
maybe a waste of court time, but I want maybe she should just enforce the criminal law on these guys. I like this. She says, as a city, we're using every tool to push back against the gangs that are leaving a trail of blood, death, and misery in their wake, unless they're part of a mostly peaceful protest. She didn't say that. Well, that's she said that in the past. Those.
Well, and she also made sure to say, killing our babies, killing children. And I'm thinking, wait a second. That's what you're all about. That's what your party's all about.
When the mother does it.
What's the problem? Oh, okay. So involuntary killing doesn't work.
The women's soccer team is very upset, and you've seen this for a long time. They're like, we don't get paid as much as the men, and we're better than the men. Well, you win more than the men. You're not really better than the men because the 15-year-old boys team beat our U.S. women's soccer team before they went to the World Cup. I think you remember that one. But they're good. I mean, they're good for women. Greg, for women, look, I love it. There's a difference. Why do you think we have men's and women's sports?
Look, they kick like girls. They kick like girls. They run like girls. Okay,
in a good way.
They're girls.
So I have two daughters,
and some of them I don't mind watching.
That's the problem, right? Is the Women's World Cup generates about 131 million in revenue. The Men's World Cup generates 6.1 billion in revenue. So that's why the men get paid more than the women do. However, we just got this where the women are now getting a deal offered to them from the National Soccer Organization, whatever the heck that is for America. And they're saying, all right, we're going to do equal pay. And they're still not happy. Why are they not happy about that, Rob? Equal pay.
Well, they're not happy because it's going to take away some of the things that they want to have in their CBA, which is why they're, quote, paid less, unquote, than the men, because they want things like guaranteed health care, guaranteed child care. They want all these extra benefits that, wait, those cost money. So that comes out of their bottom line.
And the men don't have
They
that
get
right
paid.
now because this is a part-time job for them, right?
Yeah, they get paid. They get paid
Right.
to play. They pay for they. Play
So the
for
national
pay.
team,
the women
the
get
national
a salary.
team, you're on the national team. That's not a full-time deal all the time, right? That's only for the World Cup and the Olympics.
No,
And so you're not going to get all
yeah,
those
you
bennies.
get called for friendlies and things like that. Absolutely, yeah. You get you play. You get paid. The women want the women get a salary that carries them through the entire year. The men get paid per game.
And so they're upset that they're going to get equal pay, which is what they've asked for years.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a PR stunt. It's a PR stunt.
Yeah, how
dang it.
dare they offer us equal pay that we asked for? That's crazy.
And the fact that you have Alex Morgan, who the women's soccer team has become agonizing ever since 2015. Megan Rapinoe has been the absolute worst offender of all of them. But Alex Morgan, all of a sudden, in the last few years, after getting married and popping out a kid, she's the most woke of all.
I'll tell you, when they all kneeled before that first game, I have never rooted against America in the Olympics. I wanted them to lose. I mean, they have made it so that I wanted an American team to lose. There was the one woman, I forgot her name. She stood up after that from then on. What was her name?
Carly Lloyd.
Carly Lloyd. Thank God for Carly Lloyd, man. Come on.
And she retired
that's
right
probably
after
why
the
she
Olympics.
had the courage to do it. A lingerie model in Sao Paulo, Brazil, has now married herself. She said she went in front of the Catholic Church, not inside, and revived a trend called sologamy. You know, like monogamy, but sologamy, just by yourself. Usually it's teenage boys who can't get a date, but this woman's very pretty. She wed herself in the spirit of not needing a partner to find happiness, and admitted this comes from really bad relationships in the past. And she said, I am my priority. I will never divorce myself, but also if new love appears, I will want to live the experience. I'll put the person in second place. First, it will always be me. I mean, boy, I can't think of a better marriage than that when my wife says, hey, it's great to marry you, but I'll always be first.
Yeah, well, I mean, any sane woman knows that they're first anyways. And any sane guy knows that they're second. I love how she just completely threw the blanket rule out there and said, all men are cheaters. I can't find a man that will.
Men have difficulty being faithful or staying with just one woman. They want several women at the same time. Some men, maybe it's the men you're meeting because you're posing naked on Instagram all the time. Maybe.
Exactly. Well,
no, she does naked too. She does naked. Well, not on Instagram, but she does nude poses and lingerie poses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but
hey, you know what? Good on you for, caring so much about self-love to marry yourself. However, I thought that most people are kind of already married to themselves because we are very narcissistic.
No doubt about it. You know what? You're bringing up exactly what I was thinking, Rob, when I'm reading this, is that you will let yourself down. I mean, no matter how great you think you are, no matter how narcissistic you are, you will let yourself down. Think about how many times you lied to yourself in your life. I mean, sometimes you lie to yourself every day. I'm not going to eat that dessert. Boom, done. Right? I mean, we do it all the time to ourselves. And just about every sin you can think of, we do that destroys it. We self-sabotage all the time. And if you're holding yourself up as your own God, you will let yourself down. And I'm a Jesus follower. So to me, it makes total sense that if I set myself up as a God, it's going to go horribly. It should be God first, my marriage second. And the way that you do your marriage is what you referred to, Rob. The only way to make it work, really, is to put the other person first.
Absolutely. I mean,
30 years, baby.
Long time. You know the rule. Happy wife, happy life.
You spin the wheel in the morning and you say, come on, happy. Come on, happy.
Exactly. That's all you can do. So this is part of a very bad trend that we've been having in recent years. I mean, there's a guy who married a sex doll who is now in love with an ashtray. You had the woman who was married to a ghost.
Well, you say,
What
you
is
do
wrong with
you.
people where
Yeah, you
this
do
is what
you.
we're doing?
That's great. But the idea that somehow this is bold or this is, it's attention. Yeah, it's attention-seeking
Revolutionary.
behavior that's a bunch of nonsense. And we act like somehow she's discovered something, some new way to happiness, which is total nonsense. But I really think it comes from the Instagram, TikTok, social media phase that we're in right now, that you think
The influencer
everything you do
craze.
is important, right? And should be promoted. Everything you do.
And I blame Kim Kardashian and Paris Hilton.
Definitely big founders of the movement. All right, so AOC, let's
Exactly.
wrap up with AOC today because, oh no, I got one more after AOC. She went to the Met Gala, everybody knows, $30,000 a plate, $270,000 a table. She wore the dress that says "Tax the Rich."
Which has become a great
It really has.
internet meme.
And now the other part of this wasn't an in-kind contribution because you are allowed to take a donated ticket for a charity. However, it's being argued that the table sponsor who gifted AOC was underwriting the ticket. So that person bought the ticket and then gave it to AOC. So then that person is benefiting from AOC being their guest. So that could be a violation of our election laws. And this stuff happens and so she should have to pay taxes on it, which would be about $9,000 in her tax bracket. This stuff goes on all the time, Rob, where we see politicians getting tickets to football games or concerts and they're waving to the crowd. They should be paying taxes on that. They're going after Trump's lawyer for a limousine that he had as part of his salary. So why aren't they going after these people?
Oh, because rules for thee, not for me. Dems.
Bingo.
They're all crazy like that. I mean, you look at the things that Nancy Pelosi does out there in California, where she's at all of these big events like this, and nobody says a thing about it. AOC, I love how she categorized it as, I'm breaking the fourth wall by showing up at the Met Gala. Really? You're breaking the fourth wall showing that a poor person could be at one of these events? No, you can't.
And with her salary, she's in like the top 10% of income earners in America.
Exactly. And, one thing that doesn't get talked about enough is the fact that she didn't come from a humble, poor family. Her family had money before she got into office. Okay, she was a bartender, but that was her job. She doesn't come from, government welfare, government cheese, or anything like that. Her family is well off.
And the problem I have with
Yet, all of a sudden, we're supposed to believe that she's just like AOC.
And the problem I have with
block.
all that, though, and you're absolutely right, though, is are we supposed to be mad at the rich? The vast majority of rich people in America started as middle class or lower. The vast majority of rich people are not people who came from rich people in the United States of America. I think it's great. I want everybody to be rich. I want everybody to make as much as they possibly can.
I want to be rich.
So why do we have to get into this class warfare? And by the way, I just got to throw out these numbers I've got. From 2018, it's the last year the IRS has them out for now. The top 1% of income earners in America earn 20.9% of all the income in America. Oh, that's horrible. But they pay 40.1% of all the income taxes. They're currently paying almost twice their fair share. Now, of course, there's people like Bezos that find ways around it. But the person that's making $500,000, $1 million a year, they're paying twice their fair share.
Oh, absolutely. And just to bring it to, a level that we could all relate to, I actually jumped a tax bracket this past year and had to pay. I'm still paying the IRS taxes from last year because all of a sudden I went from paying, this much to paying a whole lot
you're
more.
rich now, Rob.
And
come on.
Oh, I am so rich. Let me tell you. I mean, I've got the Tesla sitting next to the Mercedes, next to the Humvee in the garage.
Nice.
Hey, it's awesome. I mean, that's exactly how I'm rolling.
Great tweet from Thomas Sowell the other day on this, and I'm going to butcher it, but I'll try. He said, for all those people that believe in a, quote, fair share of taxes, just how much do you think you should be able to take from somebody else's hard work? Right? I mean, that's the whole thing is why do you think You have the right to take money from other people who have earned it. And nobody wants to look at it that way. But no, the government's giving it to me. The only way government gets it is by taking it from people like you, Rob, who now you're working harder, you're making more money, and they're taking more from you. And what right do the other people have to do it? Well, I deserve it. Because why? Why?
And then look at what they're doing with your money.
Exactly right.
How irresponsible can you be with?
Yeah, that's why even the far left rich liberals don't check that little box on their IRS form where they could give more money if they wanted to, because they know the government's going to waste it. They'd rather give it to the charity of their choice. Good. Well, if they do give it to a charity. Or maybe, the yacht buffet. Let's go to St. Box this weekend.
And back on AOC, how about everybody at the Met Gala
But the staff had to.
Except...
Right? The little people cooking the meals and walking out with the little...
And giving you your drinks and everything. Nancy Pelosi held a big event out in California with a whole bunch of her Democrat friends. And what did we see in the images? We saw a bunch of old, rich, white people not wearing masks, surrounded by black and brown people wearing masks.
I can't believe that I just had the phone go off in the middle of the thing. That was very unprofessional, but we'll just keep rolling. No, you're absolutely right. We had McAuliffe and the Amtrak, the Democrat running for re-election, running to be the governor again in Virginia, standing right under the sign that tells you got to wear the mask. I just saw another one today. There was another mayor that did the same thing. And what that really tells you is they don't really believe that the mask is that important, or they'd be wearing it, right?
No, absolutely not. It goes back to the rules for thee and not for me.
And finally, Norm Macdonald. Ridiculous. I always liked this guy. He had that sense of humor that some people didn't get. I liked the dry delivery that he had, and he died at 61. He had a long battle with cancer. By the way, he did one where he said, there's people that say that when you die, the man battled cancer for a long time, and then he died and cancer won. Wait a second. When you die, the cancer dies. Isn't that a draw? I was like, hey, that's pretty good.
Yes, absolutely. That is the best way of.
All right, so I got a couple of his best jokes. Throw them out to end. Here's one. They say that if you're afraid of homosexuals, it means deep down inside you're actually a homosexual, and that worries me because I'm afraid of dogs. That takes a second. The hardest drug I ever did, LSD. I was told to be careful because in 20 years I can have a flashback. And I thought that sounded like a good idea, a good deal. But 20 years have passed, and I've not had a flashback. What a jip. I love these. This one my wife didn't like. Tell me what you think of this, Rob. With Hitler, the more I learn about that guy, the more I don't really care for him. I love that one. Oh, that was great.
The only reason why people don't like it is because of the name.
Right, but that's what makes it funny.
Now, let me ask you this. Would it have the same punch if you said, with Trump, the more I learn about that guy, the more I don't care for him? People would love it.
Yeah. Right.
Because it mocks Trump. But if you say Hitler, that takes people to a really dark place.
Which is why it's funny, though. That's why it's funny, because you expect it to be awful, and he's just very bland about it.
But wait, we're allowed to have comedy and we're allowed to laugh today? I'm not so sure.
Absolutely. We've got to start laughing again. Last one from Norm Macdonald. Many people are skeptical about marriage of Michael Jackson and Lisa Marie Presley. This goes back ways. They say Lisa Marie is more of a sit-at-home type, and Michael Jackson's more of a homosexual pedophile.
It works because it's so true.
And it's because people, I can't believe you said it. Oh, it's horrible. Oh, it's awful. It's a joke.
Oh yeah. I mean, he had the best delivery in terms of just the dryness, and he, unlike people like say Jimmy Fallon, who came years later on SNL, Jimmy Fallon would break character all the time. Norm never broke.
No, he was awful.
And I loved when they did the Celebrity Jeopardy bits on SNL with Will Ferrell being Trebek, and you had Norm Macdonald as Burt Reynolds.
Classic.
Those were
it was great. And like you said, never broke.
As well as the Sean Connery ones, but that wasn't Norm.
Looked awesome. He had a show real briefly on Netflix. Did you ever see it? I saw it one time, and
but I knew about
it
it. I
was
just never
good,
watched
but it was such a weird show. It wasn't like you'd expect. I never caught on, but he wasn't your stereotypical, like, he was never going to do Everybody Loves Raymond, right? He was just a different dude.
No, God, no.
And what I loved about him was he would make fun of everybody. You know, that we don't have many comedians that do that anymore. They like want to pick a side. And I love just that's what I like about South Park. Make fun of everybody. Are there times they offend the heck out of me? Yeah. So
there's only about one comedian I can think of off the top of my head that actually does rip people on both sides, and that's Jeff Dunham. But he does it through
right. So he can blame it on the puppet.
So is he really ripping on anybody?
It's good.
It's not really him.
Right.
It's a character. So does it really count?
I'm not saying. All right. Well, that is Rob, and it's TV's Rob is Unwoke. Check it out on the podcast, anywhere you can find them. TV's Rob is Unwoke. Mine is called The Greg Knapp Experience. I would love for you to look it up. Please follow us. Please do a little review and help us grow the podcast.
That's right. Rate them 5 stars and say it's the best
Awesome.
thing ever. Even if it's a lie, just say it. Just do it. Tell 3 friends about the Greg Knapp Experience.
And they'll tell. Yeah.
They might hate you for it, but
they'll tell
you
3
should
friends,
still
and
do
they'll
it.
tell 3 friends. Awesome. All right. That was the special episode of the Greg Knapp Experience.